I'm moving on now to part 2 of week 14. So our part 2 video is going to be discussing basically the week 12 assignments in more detail. So our week 12 assignments, what I want to do is I want to talk about some simple ways for you to correct your essays and your essay structure before you write, basically. So that then, if you think about how to write your essay, then you will produce a much nicer piece, a much clearer piece. So I'm moving on now to slide number 11. So the biggest issue that I had for the assignments, as I spoke briefly about in part 1, was confusion about what the assignment was. Now, this I can't say enough. It doesn't matter what test you write, it doesn't matter what task you are given. If you do not understand what you are supposed to do, you will maybe make a mistake. So, first and foremost, you need to understand what the assignment is. So in this case, I gave you the assignment of an essay. You were to choose from 5 questions, choose 1 question, and write an essay write an essay answer. So I want to review this very quickly, and we'll do an overall review of the course shortly as well. An essay is how many paragraphs? So I'm hoping you all said 5. So an essay is 5 paragraphs. How many sentences are in 1 paragraph? And I'm hoping now all of you said 10 sentences. So if we have 10 sentences in 1 paragraph, how many sentences are in 5 paragraphs or an essay? 50 sentences. So an essay should be 50 sentences. There were quite a large number of students who did not pay attention to what the instructions were, and they only gave me a 1 paragraph answer, and that paragraph was only 10 sentences long. So essentially, if I asked you for an essay, and an essay is 5 paragraphs, and you only gave me 1 paragraph, that means you only got 20 points. So this is a very big problem. So what you need to do is make sure that you understand the assignment clearly. If you don't understand it, talk to me. Talk to your class captain also. Talk to your classmates. That's no problem. When you do your interviews, you'll be in touch with your classmates, so you can talk to them about it. So I'm moving on now to the first most common problem. One of the common problems, I should say. So I've grouped these into, I think I've got six common problem areas, basically. So the first one was students giving me 5 paragraphs, which was very, very good, but actually they were all detailed paragraphs. So, although it's very interesting, there was no introduction to what your topic was. There was no introduction to what you were going to discuss in the essay. It was just an abrupt, these are what I'm going to talk about, your focus points. So remember that when you write an essay, the essay has the same pattern as a paragraph. Your first step is to introduce your topic. What are you going to talk about and why? What's the point? Then you give 3 details, and finally you end with the conclusion, which shows you're done. So I'm not quite sure why students only gave 5 detailed paragraphs, but if you're still confused, talk to me. So there was no introduction paragraph, and there was no conclusion paragraph. So I wondered, why not? Where did they go? Or as Batman says, where are they? Anyways, moving on to slide 13. Now, slide 13, I chose the picture because I thought this was quite funny and very apt. This is exactly what happens with this problem. So common problem number 2 was 1 big paragraph. Essentially, the students should have been using indents. Do you remember indents? What's an indent? I-N-D-E-N-T. I'm hoping that you answered. It's that little space at the beginning of a paragraph to show that you're starting a paragraph. So right here, there's an indent. And I'll show you a couple other points. Okay. So as an example on this page, I can see that there are 2 paragraphs on this page, and the end of another one here as well. So a paragraph essentially are used, these indents show this paragraph is starting. And it also helps because, for example, in a book, if we had no paragraphs, you know, if this was all one piece of text, it would make it quite hard reading. You know, it's tiring to read a huge paragraph. So the reason why we use indents is to break up these big pieces of writing into, you know, into pieces so that it's much easier to read. So I don't know how you feel about reading. I love reading, but when you have to read a big paragraph, right away it feels tedious. It feels like it's going to be difficult and it's hard work. So the way to prevent this is to use those indents. Break it up so that we can see where the paragraph starts. Now please remember that because I still have a few students who are writing sentence, 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 sentence. So the issue that I'm trying to point out here is that when we write the first sentence, your sentence 2 should start right after that period. So we get this nice clean block of writing for each of your paragraphs. You should not be writing in sentence, sentence, sentence form because essentially if you're writing in sentences, they are separate points. If we're writing in a paragraph, it's one point, one topic. And this is what our point is. Each paragraph that you use has one big topic to it. So I'm hoping that this is helpful. The most important point, in my opinion, for you, especially as second language learners, or perhaps third or fourth language learners, is it also makes it really, really a lot easier for you, for your writing as well, because it gives you a really clear pattern to follow, and when you follow that pattern, as long as you're speaking in your natural style, it should give you a really, really lovely essay. And anyone who gives you an interview in English and you answer in a paragraph or essay form, they will be amazed. They will love you, which is what our point is, right? We want you to be hired as teachers in the future. Okay, anyways, I'm going to move on. Again, I can't say it enough. Any questions you have, any queries, any confusion, talk to me. Please, please, please. I would love to talk to you, especially because, you know, I haven't been able to actually meet you face to face. So because that aspect's been missing, you know, there's this kind of, I don't know, I feel a little bit sad. You know, we're not on campus, we don't get to wander around and see each other, but that's life, right? The most important point is that you stay safe and your family stays safe, that we are all safe. Okay, moving on now to slide number 14. Now, slide number 14, the problem here, the most common, this is another common problem, was balance. Balance is really important in writing because, especially because we're following the system. So I had a number of students who gave me a very short introduction, a very short conclusion, and then developed their detailed paragraphs quite well. So remember, you know, each paragraph should be 10 sentences. I have very clearly and repetitively explained to you that you know, each sentence has a point. They each have a separate job to do, so that it works like, you know, pieces of your body, your heart, your lungs, your different organs inside your body have a separate purpose, so that then when they work together well, you have a healthy body. The same thing with your essay. If your essay paragraphs have strong structures, then when you put them together, they create this lovely body of writing. So please, please, please remember, your paragraphs should be 10 sentences each with that nice clear pattern. So slide 15 is another common problem that we had. I've called this common problem 4. And this is a really big issue, which I think I understand very, very well. Essentially, I guess, because you are so busy these days and you have so many assignments that you rushed through the assignment and you gave me 3 to 5 sentences per paragraph. Again, you should be using 10 sentences per paragraph. And you should be using that nice clear pattern: introduction, detail 1, detail 2, detail 3, and your conclusion. If you follow the pattern, you will create a nice piece of writing. This is adaptable, so that's what the beauty of it is. That's why it's such a fantastic system. Anyways, too short. You're going to be, these are all very simple points, but you're going to be deducted, big points for these points, for these issues. Problem number 5, moving on to slide number 16, missing parts. This was a really common problem as well. And I think, again, it's probably because you are so busy. So I totally understand, but remember that part of your job as university students is to learn how to balance your time and how to effectively finish your assignments in a good way. Spend enough time on the assignments so that you get those points, you get the good marks. Anyways, I think this is an excellent way for you to use English, otherwise I wouldn't be teaching it. Anyways, the common problem number 5 is missing parts. Now, examples that I've given here, one of the points that was really, really common was no title. I'm not sure why there were no titles, but you need a title. Also, I had students who submitted their assignments and there was no name. We're in week 13, so you should be very, very clear about, your English style name and where to put it, where it goes with your essay. Transition words were another one. I'm not quite sure why people are still not using transition words, but remember that transition words are a tool. They're a really simple way for you to help yourself when you're writing, because it really helps you to figure out where you are in your essay. The final point, which was quite difficult, was the repetition of words. Remember, synonyms are words that have the same meaning, but it's a different word. This shows a much higher skill level if you use a synonym to repeating the same word over and over and over again. I had one student in particular when I first started, and the student used one word 8 times in one paragraph. So essentially, that's pretty much 1 time per sentence the same word. This is a low skill level, and you will lose points for that because you aren't spending any time thinking about other words, which you can do. You all have amazing vocabularies. I know you do. But I also understand, because as students, you want to get the job done as quickly as possible, which means that you do get the job done, but repeating words shows that you're just doing it quickly. You're just finishing. There's no skill involved, but you are skillful. And essentially, part of your job is to show me how skillful you are, how much ability you have. And 100% you all do. You're amazing. You are amazing. Anyways, moving on. I'm not going to bug you too much. You're young and you need to enjoy life as well. Moving on to slide 17, this is our final slide for part 2 of week 14. This was another common problem, and what I've done essentially is I've just called it confusion, because there are a number of items that fall in this category. So some issues that were confusing were, for example, number 1. So number 1, I had students who would say, I'm Momo. For example, I'm introvert. Now, I understand what you're communicating, I understand the meaning you're communicating, but grammatically this is incorrect. So remember, we need both of them together. We need the meaning and the grammar to be accurate, to be correct. So what you need to do basically is you need to take a look at the words you're using and decide if you're going to say I am internally, my style. You need to decide if you want to refer to yourself as a noun. So we're going to use that. Do you remember countable nouns? We use or un, or you could use a determiner the, but not in this case. If you're referring to yourself, you want to say you're like many other people who are introverts. So I am introvert, okay? Or we can talk about it as a description, an adjective. And you can describe yourself. Do you remember when we looked at the ed, ing endings? So if you're talking about something inside yourself, then we would say, I am Momo ed. I am interested, I am introverted. So you need to decide which way you want to describe yourself. Do you want to talk about yourself as a person, or do you want to talk about your personality, how you are inside? Either way, you do need to decide. You need to make a clear decision about which description you want to use for yourself. Number 2, I think this is an issue of, in Korean we can do this, in English we can't. So in English you cannot start a sentence with because and not explain what you're talking about. What is the original statement? So because playing with friends is fun, comma, what? Because playing with friends is fun, I like to go out with them. Or we can put it at the beginning. I like to go out with friends because playing with friends is fun. Another issue that I had with this is, again, in Korean we can say playing, but in English playing has an idea of you have some object that you and your friends are playing with. So if you're playing ball with your friends, okay. If you're playing chess with your friends, okay. If you're playing cards or video games with your friends, you need to mention what you're doing. Otherwise, if you want to talk about how you're relaxing with your friends, you're not playing a game, then we use a different verb of hanging out. Okay, so I like hanging out with my friends is much more common than playing with friends. Playing with friends is juvenile. It's for elementary school students because they usually play games together. Hanging out at your age, at university age, 100% hanging out with my friends is much, much, much more common. So be careful of verb choices. Sometimes we can use direct translation from Korean to English. Sometimes we can't. In this case, we can't. Number 3. Number 3 makes me nuts. First, second, third is too easy. It is much too easy for your level. Your university level, do not use first, second, third. Please use other transition words. You could choose other ones, whichever ones you want. Review them if you want. But the point is, don't use this. First, second, third it's elementary school level. You are not elementary school level, so you could teach that, definitely, for your future elementary school students, or if you're teaching now, first, second, third, great. But for you as university students, writing, first, second, third is much too simple. Again, the reason why I say that is because, out of 150 students, if I say you can use first, second, third, 80% will use first, second, third. So you can't. It's illegal. Number four was interesting. I only had a couple, maybe 2 or 3 cases of this, but it is a point. And that is, when you read a book, when you read something with paragraphs, there's no number with the paragraphs. So although in your mind you can imagine, okay, this is paragraph 1, so it's my introduction. This is paragraph 2, so this is my detail 1 paragraph. This is paragraph 3. And in your mind you can write the numbers. In reality, you do not write the numbers. You don't write paragraph 1, 2, 3. Please don't write numbers for your paragraph. It's here, not here. It's not written. So please don't do that. Number 5 was an interesting issue because, and I puzzled through this for a little while of how to best explain it. So I'm very looking forward to something, or I'm really looking forward to something. I think the simplest explanation that I can give you is really is used to develop a verb ing phrase. So I'm really looking forward to this winter vacation is correct. Number 6 was a really, really common issue. I guess, this is direct translation, but I'm not certain. Like this. So this was usually used in the conclusion paragraph, and students were basically trying to say in summary or in conclusion, and but they chose the words like this instead. Like this in English you can't use that. It's grammatically, it's ungrammatical. It is incorrect. So what I've given you is I've given you 2 other starter transition style ways to connect your paragraph. So I think what students are looking for is in these ways, comma, and then using what they want to discuss. Or you can use for these reasons, which means all of the reasons that you have listed previously. I think those 2 are probably what you're looking for, but in summary, in conclusion, also have the same idea, the same concept. Number 7 was also, this is also a very common issue, and I'm not sure about that, if it's because of direct translation, but in English, you cannot lose another person's weight. It would be fabulous. I would love if other people could lose weight for me, but you can't, unfortunately, which means lose my weight is wrong. You cannot lose anyone else's weight, so the my is what's called redundant. It's unnecessary. If you just say lose weight, it refers to yourself. So I'm going to lose weight with my friends. It's a little bit unusual, but possible. I'm going to lose weight, and you're going to go to the gym with your friends to hopefully lose weight or something like that. Anyways, I'm going to stop us there. So this is the end of our part 2 video for week 14. I'm going to move on shortly to the part 3 video, and we'll be discussing in part 3 the week 13 review. So I want to go over the points that we have discussed previously, talking about conversation strategies, so when we're doing the speaking interviews, and talking again about essay development. So see you shortly. Bye bye.